Good morning, everyone. I am Janina and I will be your host for this morning. Welcome to our third TechX event for this year. So, we've already had two sessions of TechX previously where we talked about the importance of data science in the fourth industrial revolution featuring Angela Chen of Escolabs. And we also had Rafael Layosa of RetailGate and where we talked about artificial intelligence. This morning, we are going to talk about an equally exciting topic. So it's dermatological innovations. So TechX is a flagship program organized by the FEU Tech Innovation and Entrepreneurship Office. So just to give you a brief background about what we do. So let me just share you a brief presentation. Can you see my screen? So to introduce to you the FEU Tech Innovation and Entrepreneurship Office, we believe that nation building is best achieved through solving society's biggest problems and through creating jobs using technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So our mission is to create the next generation of nation builders by creating innovators, technologists, and entrepreneurs. So we envision to be the Philippines' most innovative and entrepreneurial academic institution. So how are we measuring that? So we have identified four key success metrics as the Philippines' first academe-based builder. So first is the number of tech startup companies established. So the office or the INE office would want that we are able to help our students to be able to run them through the journey from having that promising idea, from having a promising business idea, and run them to becoming a full-fledged startup entrepreneurs or startup companies. Second is the number of tech startups funded. So we are creating that ecosystem of investors that we would be able to help them get funding and sustain and enable innovation inside the campus. Third would be the number of jobs created. So this is one of the most important pillars wherein we want to provide opportunities, job opportunities, employment opportunities for our countrymen. And lastly would be the number of patents applied for. So those academic research that doesn't necessarily go to the entrepreneurial track, we are currently targeting an AI research capacity for the school so that we will be able to create more AI engineering more AI scientists and AI engineers. And then the INE office has four major functions. So the first one would be the innovation and entrepreneurship curricular programs. So these are the classes infuse topics such as lean startup principles, design thinking, technopreneurship. And second one would be the Innovation Ventures Development Program. So as the Philippines' first academe-based venture builder, we want more innovations, more patents, and more companies springing out from the university. So we are providing that formal and systematic training wherein we want to help students who would want to be entrepreneurs. So they will be able to work on their ideas and receive help from the ecosystem that we are building. And then third one would be the FEU Venture Capital Investment Fund. So I was mentioning tech startup companies that are funded as one of the key success metrics. So we would want to help fund those promising startups springing from the programs that we are currently doing. And then last would be the research and technology transfer. So this is capacitating or this is the institutional effort to actually work on emerging technologies and deep technologies such as AI, blockchain, data science, drone technology. And the FEU Tech INE office actually partnered with the most prestigious, or if not one of the most prestigious and successful incubators in the country, which is the Asian Institute of Management Dado Banatao Incubator, to provide these venture development programs. So currently we have the three flagship programs. So it's actually one of that is the one happening today, which is TechX. So this is one of our flagship events where we want to talk about emerging technologies. And second would be Unmask, or it's one also of our monthly events wherein we feature inspiring, successful entrepreneurs, especially the young ones, unmasking their journey so that we will be able to actually inspire more people to go in entrepreneurship. And one of them, and last would be one of the programs that we are really proud of is the FE Tech Startup Academy. So it's actually one of the new OJT tracks that we are offering. So previously or traditionally, students would actually opt for or opt in terms of when they go to their internship. Traditionally, they would work for bigger companies, but this time around, through the FE Tech Startup Academy, we are providing a program for the students who have promising business ideas and those who would want to be an entrepreneurs receive um, that formal training or systematic training, and especially mentorship and support coaching, and provide hand holdings to them so that they will be able to work on their ideas, so that they will be immersed and will be able to experience and work closely with startup founders themselves, so that they will be able to experience firsthand, or they will experience themselves what as early as now on what it's like to be a startup founder, an entrepreneur, and see if it's really for them. And hopefully, they will be able to convert these promising ideas into successful business ventures in the future. So the FEU Tech INE office is actually providing that program so that they will be able to harness and work on those ideas. So that's it. That's what we are doing as an office. Um, And I know you are all excited to actually learn from our speaker. So now let me introduce our resource speakers. But before that, I would just like to encourage. So we're actually live on the Facebook of FE Innovation Center. So it's at FE Innovation Center. Please post your questions via the chat box, the comment section, so we can actually ask them during the open forum. So to formally introduce our speaker for this morning, so he's very passionate about dermatological innovations. So his work involves developing technology for DellaGroup Corp. So it's particularly involving smart UV textiles that block ultraviolet, visible light, and infrared radiation. So he also developed a novel invention that improves the dermoscope, which is a cutaneous epiluminescence microscopy used for point-of-care diagnosis of skin cancers and other lesions. So his work with solar light started early during his medical school, developing a solar reflector that uses the sun's energy and radiation to disinfect water in a rural area in the Philippines, so with a high incidence of diarrhea. This was followed by other health and environmental innovations addressing mainly health problems. Let us all welcome our speaker for this morning, Doc Mike Dellariarte. Hello, Doc Mike.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for
I'm
having
good.
me. All right.
We're excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Am I gonna share
Sure.
my
Go
screen
ahead.
now?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just set that up for you. All right. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Mike. Uh, so I am currently connected with DMD Skin Sciences and DellaGroup. So basically, DMD Skin Sciences is our clinic, and then DellaGroup is actually our manufacturing arm. So today I'm supposed to talk about dermatological innovations, but I just put health there since we're innovators. So I have quite a bit of range of involvement in terms of health. So hindi lang siya dermatological. So I just put health there. So this is me. Basically, I'm a dermatologist by practice. I'm a member of the Philippine Dermatological Society. So you can call me Dr. Mike. So and then this is my special interest, basically what I do in the clinic. Of course, I'm basically trained in pathological, I'm trained in pathological dermatology, and also this is my interest, acne scar revision. So there, just to give you an idea what I do in the clinic. So there. So this is scar revision. Scar revision is one of the most difficult domain. One of the most difficult problems in cosmetic dermatology right now. So we've developed protocols that are um, innovative in terms of addressing this particular issue. But in any other day, I'm just hanging around, like creating things, no, because that's my passion. So this is me when I was a child. So as a kid growing up, I was surrounded by boats. So my dad is a boat builder. My mom also is a boat builder, but my dad actually was a carpenter. And then suddenly he decided he'd like to create wooden boats. And after the wooden boats, he went into fishing, the fishing industry. And then after that, he went on to create a full steel fishing fleet. And along with my mom, had own. So I honestly think my mom and my dad are really um, great innovators of their time. So there, my mom would tell me na when I have like a broken toy, I would usually create something out of that and create a new toy out of a broken toy. So that was mainly what I did when I was a kid. So fast forward, when I was in medical school, we were assigned in a fourth class municipality, uh, Lakewood, Zamboanga del Sur. It's a very poor community with 800-hectare lake in the middle. It's actually much larger than that, so I'm not really sure about the accurate measurement. But um, the community has like a indigenous community of Subanens. So we spent around 5 years there solving the health problems of the community. So we were tasked as medical students to create a comprehensive health plan to address the health problems of the people in the community. So here I was. So because I've discovered that there's like a lot of children dying from diarrhea. And so what we did was to test the water sources of the community. And we eventually found out that all the water source that we tested tested positive for fecal coliform. So essentially, people were drinking each other's fecal matter. So, and as you know, it's a very poor community back then. And as the government was actually catching up in terms of developing its water potability in the municipality, we had to develop something that could address the issue right then and there. So I created the solar reflector, which collects the sun's energy and radiation and focuses it into one spot. And it basically disinfects water. After 2 hours, it's considered safe, no, to drink. So I was going back and forth to the community kasi the nearest lab back then was like 8 hours. So I would uh, I would test the water and the device in the community. Then after that, go to the nearest city with the test, no, just to find out if the test was effective. So if the test was a failure, then I'd had to go back again. So it was really gruesome kasi I'd wait for the bus at 8 at nighttime, and then timing when I got to the other city, it's already morning. So I'll just sleep it through. So it was really amazing because I saw how other communities tried to help when they knew that this other community needed help. So uh, a lot of the waste tin cans, which we used to create the solar panels, came from another city. So basura na siya. So the people helped like to collect those tin cans in order for us to transport it in the community. So what's special about the solar reflector is that it was designed in such a way it's simple that it can be created by the simple nanay and tatay in the community. It can be maintained by them, can be repaired by them. You know? So it became a full-blown advocacy to solve health using resources that can be found on them. And what's really nice, what I realized that there's an untapped potential energy for organized local community manufacturing such as this one. So it became eventually the first NGO that I established, which is the I Can Make a Difference Inc., where initially I was mentoring young innovators how to use their passion in order to solve the community's problem and at the same time contribute to the environment. So this is a collaboration with Joe Green. So it's very special to me because it solves three problems with one solution. No? So basically, what we did was collect the plastic wastes. Kasi a lot of the plastic waste in my city, in Zamboanga City, especially those coming from the fast foods, ended up in the landfills. So what we did was to rescue and through fusion technology create a leather-like material that could be fashioned by our collaborators in AVRC who were differently able, and they could basically translate it to anything, any wearable actually. So we gave them opportunities also in terms of their employment. They could provide for their family, you know. And then this is one of the projects that we created with them. It's a raincoat bag. So this was a couple of years ago. And so there, this is the community of different abled workers. So what we did was to basically promote the advocacy, tap into companies that had like very robust corporate responsibility or corporate investment ventures. Then we're the one who channels the funds to them, and then we're the ones who also fulfill wherever the bags and the raincoat bags were needed. We're the ones who deliver everything. So this is the map or the Google map of Lakewood. So another problem was we found out that children had to walk around. On top, like a lot of labels there. So that's the center of their economics, education, health. And then opposite to that, in the bottom, you would see the Datu sa Palau Cliff. So around that area is the area where the villages of the Subanens were. So we found out that the children had to go like every school they had to go around so jungle no just to go to school every day, and because they cannot afford the bangka sometimes because it's too costly for them. So there, and then one of my well actually two of my co-founders actually Jay and Dr. Anton had the same problem in their communities. In their communities naman, what happened was they found that the children had to swim to school. In the community of Jay in Masbate, they literally jump off a cliff and then they would swim to open ocean with the risk of drowning, especially if it was really raining hard. And you know the currents in open ocean, diba? They're very erratic. So Jay posted something in Facebook. He posted like he saw this situation, and then just with no intentions at all, like just posting in Facebook. And then after that, one friend commented, "Are we not doing anything?" And then one friend commented again, "I'm gonna give 500 pesos," and then another friend again, "I'm gonna give 100 pesos," like that. And at the end of the thread, he was able to collect funds enough for one bangka. So it started from that, and then after a bangka was created, we posted it in Facebook, and then more people were actually willing to help. Until now, it's still going because we have a lot of islands, and we still continue to uncover communities with this particular challenge or this particular problem. So we continue this advocacy until this day. So what started from 3 communities is now 193 communities and 4,652 yellow boats and counting. And so since we view health and education as a very interconnected aspect of life, so we also create projects or get involved in terms of the other related social factors that affect education. So these are our other projects. So fast forward, I had to, after graduating in medical school, I had to seek my passion, which is dermatology, because a young as a young man, I was really plagued with severe acne, and I know how it feels to have your skin not clear and feel unhealthy just by looking at your skin. No? And you feel that you're not healthy because, of course, it's inflamed, it's painful, etc. And I like how my dermatologist personally helped me in that journey, helped me in the management of my acne and other skin problems. No? So that really inspired me to take dermatology. And our take in dermatology actually is very deep. Realize it, they actually consider the skin as an extension of who they are. And sometimes, people put a lot of tattoo in their skin, ornaments in their skin. The skin really is an instrument of the being. And so there, my passion for development actually followed me early on in my dermatology residency. So this is one of the projects which I initiated. I actually like to see the behavior of people and observe um, how they actually respond to a certain project. So in the community kasi we have 4Ps. So 4Ps is like the government basically incentivizes developmental uptake of projects by the community by giving them financial aid or incentive. So basically, if you attend, like for example, a health lecture, the government will give you a certain fee. So it works that way, and this model has been proven in other developing countries that it could work. But what I've noticed is that since there is like few circulating funds in the government, they would they would enroll certain individuals, and to the next cycle, some of those individuals will some other will not be accommodated already because they need to circulate the funds. So there were times na walang aid yung ibang portion ng community. So I was thinking, and then it really affected the performance of the community people. And I was thinking, what if we actually formulated an incentive system that does involve other methods, like for example services. So I tried to think if dermatology actually could be a replacement for money, and will it allow or will it encourage people to attend health lectures. So basically, what we did was to divide 2 communities. So it was very simple, really. So we have 2 communities of mothers. What happened was we had them attend health lectures in both communities, but the intervention was one health lecture was incentivized by free dermatological service and medications, and then the other one had absolutely zero. And then we basically found out that it was really effective. So there was a staggering significant difference in terms of the attendance. almost approaching 98 or 97 or 98% in the incentivized arm. So really, this looks into dermatology, something beyond, beyond what we conventionally know about dermatology, just as like a cosmetic arm of medicine. It can actually be something that can propel development and encourage people to take up developmental projects by the government, and in turn, impact their lives in the future. So these are just some snapshots from the project. And then, so fast forward, in the clinic, so we observe a lot of skin problems in the clinic. One of that is skin pigmentation. So I've encountered a lot of patients who were complaining about resistant melasma or hyperpigmentation. They were telling me, Doc, I'm already doing everything that you told me, the medications, strict sun avoidance, and etc. No, I'm using hats, I'm using umbrellas already, but why is my pigmentation still here? And there was a lot of them actually. So that made me really curious. Was there something wrong, or am I missing something? No? So it was definitely a problem. So then, out of curiosity, I just collected their umbrellas because they tell me that they were frequently under the sun. But sabi nila, Doc, I'm using naman the umbrella. So why is it still happening? So I said, all right, can you give me can you give me your umbrellas? And then I actually have a friend in the National Institute of Physics. So si Nathaniel. Um, so Nath is a known scientist, is a photonic scientist. No? So what we did was to basically, I bugged him in this laboratory, and then I brought all these umbrellas. And then sabi ko sa kanya, test naman natin tong umbrellas and let's see if it's really effective. And to my surprise, even those that actually said UV resistant allowed a significant portion of the UV radiation to pass through, and other radiations to actually pass through, like infrared radiation and visible light radiation as well. So I had this idea and went around Metro Manila pitching the idea of a complete block umbrella. And so after a couple of tries, these were the people. I found my partners in DellaGroup through that project. So they liked the ideas that I had. So they liked also the ideas in the pipeline that I had. So they actually wanted to partner. So because of that, DellaGroup was established. No? So this is the first dermatologic umbrella, which has the tri-screen tech that we developed. So it's basically a coating material that blocks all three kinds of radiations that are relevant to dermatology, which is UV radiation, visible light, and infrared radiation or heat radiation. No? So this is one of the tests that we did for UV penetration. And if you could see the D1 is actually which is 0, which is actually our umbrella. All the rest are the commercially available umbrellas that we have. So this is another simulation of the visible light transmission. So you could see the umbrella that we have completely blocks it. And this is the test. So you can see the black one, the black tracing. So this is UV, visible light, and infrared test that we actually did. So that's the Dermasolare. So it's the first dermatologic umbrella. So I also positioned it to be the first dermatologic umbrella because how can we communicate that particular messaging, and how can we be the first, since the umbrella is already an old technology. It's been here for centuries already. So we created our own subcategory. So there. And then we had it, and then in Germany, I think in June 2019, it garnered high quality and design functionality award in the Plus X award in Germany, up against several brands and products. So this is the foldable version of that, and a lot of my patients really use that, and they bring it everywhere. So another problem that I encountered during residency is the visibility of 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 the rooms, no? Like sometimes kasi masyadong madilim sa mga wards in public hospitals, and I've encountered this. And in dermatology kasi we are very visual. We need to see all the details, even the minute details of the skin lesions, because that can spell the difference between a life-threatening and a benign lesion. And uh, I encounter this often in our rotations in the wards, no. So what I did basically was just to get a lamp from CBR King, yung LED, tapos ko-connect ko lang siya sa power bank ko. Then I had this like plastic acrylic that I put in my phone so I can take a photo very well of the, kasi when we send it to our consultants, pag malabo yan, they will be angry at you and will make you take the photos again. Well, I will be angry also if I'm a consultant now and I see mga pictures na very unclear. So minsan na ano din ako, na-irritate din ako. So there, I just did that, and when I was looking at the photos, I was asking myself, what if I could add this and I could add that to improve the quality of the photos? And eventually, we developed this improvement of the dermatoscope. So basically, it efficiently delivers visible light to the cutaneous substance of or the skin, no, in such a way that light is not wasted in the surface, because most of the light actually when we take photos of the skin is reflected. That's why most of the details that we see in terms of the skin lesion is the surface. But sometimes there's a lot of clues beneath the surface of the skin, like the subepidermis or the dermis. So this light actually transmits. This device actually transmits the light very efficiently, even to the deeper layers of the skin, and illuminate those structures so that the doctor can actually see the patterns. And by pattern recognition, the doctor can come up with a diagnosis that he can match with his clinical diagnosis. So dermoscopy is actually known to increase the clinical diagnosis of doctors to more than 90%. No? And so another project was, since there's like a lot of skin disease throughout the Philippines, and we don't have a lot of dermatologists strategically situated in these needy areas. So so this is Julie Salido. She's a scientist. She's a visual AI scientist. So we developed the clinical skin cancer detection for Asian skin using deep convolutional neural networks. So basically, you just take a photo, and then this photo is processed by an artificial intelligence. Then it will render a dermoscopic and clinical diagnosis, which will assist the doctor, or which will assist the the physician assistant or dermatological assistant, and we're calling it Derm Oracle. So right now, Julie is finishing some adjustments, and hopefully will be ready. I'm actually pushing her to be ready within this year, because it's really important right now, especially a lot of people cannot go to the hospital because they're afraid, and also they have skin problems also. So imagine what the impact of this particular technology will be. And then during the lockdown, there were so many colleagues of mine telling me, Mike, there's like ang daming patients dito and we lack masks and etc. And knowing that there was like a worldwide worldwide like increased demand and decreased supply of masks when the pandemic broke, I felt like there will come a time that either the Philippines will really need the masks, and we need like a local manufacturing site. We need our own masks. And number two, there will be a chance that substandard masks will be circulated in the market, and that will have a lot of ramifications in terms of our health, especially our health workers, our first our frontliners. No? So my partners actually convinced me to put up a factory, a surgical mask, another factory for surgical masks. No, but I was trying to convince them before not to, because the supply chain is such a jungle back then, and it's a really messy. Um, would you say like a messy process having it certified, tested, everything like that. Um, but I took that seriously because I felt like we could do something, and then it was worth really the try, because if not, who will do it, diba? So I took to Bounce Back PH. I really didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, we needed capital for the machines to create the surgical masks, but I didn't know where to go. So I just posted in my Facebook. I just posted in Bounce Back PH for possible investors. And then there were a lot of people telling me this is not actually the right stage or the right platform for that one. You need a more serious platform, etc., etc. But we found very good people who were really passionate, who supported, believed in the idea, and basically became the machine investors, the capital investors. No, so never let anyone tell you that mali yung ginagawa mo, because you don't know what doors can open if you just try. No, so we built the Roche brand. So the Rouge brand is actually our PPE brand, which basically creates two kinds of masks: the type 1 and type 2R masks. So early on the pandemic, we were able to establish our own factory and testing facility, and we were already exporting to Spain, Europe, Spain, Germany, and already Mexico, and hopefully our FDA will be approved here in the Philippines already, for domestic distribution, because we did tests already. It was very shocking, actually, the tests that we did for the masks that we actually got from the known pharmacies here, from online. Some masks would even say that they are 98 or 99% particulate filtration efficiency. However, when we tested them, some was like even 3%. Mas mataas pa yung cloth mask, no? So, which was really alarming, because people were using it with this false sense of protecting other people from their own droplets. No? And then we established another factory during the pandemic, which is the copper face mask, because copper was really used in medicine for a long time. In ancient times, kasi, the antibacterial property of copper is really already known. Like in the ancient times, they would transport water in copper basins, and well, they had a lot of containers when they transported clear water to other ancient countries, because those ancient countries didn't have any like potable water. But then when they unloaded the water, they would usually see that the water that is contained in copper would be clear. And then those that was contained in other containers, marami ng algae and stuff like that, no, hindi murky na, gano'n. So that was how people in the ancient time realized the power of copper as an antimicrobial, and it was used even in pandemics. Like, hospitals were fashioning the surfaces with copper surfaces. But eventually, we forget about the pandemic, and hospitals want to drive the costs down and replace surfaces with other plating. So we developed the copper face mask. So it's infused with copper ions, because it's the copper ions that actually cause contact killing. Because there are studies that we found that when they tested the surface of masks, they would grow bacteria and other microorganisms. So just imagine if you would by chance be able to touch the surface of your mask and transmit that to your face. So you basically auto inoculate the bacteria. or whatever germs that are found in the surface, no? To your eyes or to your mouth or to your nose, or you can transmit it to other people also. So so we developed that. So this is the copper mask. That's how it looks like during this pandemic. And then another thing that we actually developed during the pandemic was the Cube. So the Cube is the UV disinfection, the clinical UV disinfection line of DellaGroup. So what's different about this is, number one, it was not a prior technology that was just converted to another technology that to suit the pandemic, but it was really designed or built for the pandemic. So some of the cube kasi or the disinfection mass disinfections out there were basically used for children's bottles. So they were already present in the market, and then they just converted it into something for disinfection during the pandemic. But this one, we really had this tested in a laboratory with results talaga. So we were using LEDs, industrial grade LED, which are basically used in water disinfection to disinfect water. And then what's special about this is that it has a mask platform, so you can fit your mask there, and it will illuminate all the surfaces of your mask to disinfect it. So some of the health workers, kasi they would eat, so they would do breaks and then take out everything. They can use this to disinfect their mask. Um, and then this is how it looks like with a mask inside. No? And then it also has a platform, so you can use it to disinfect your other things. So it's using UVC, industrial grade UVC LEDs. Some LEDs out there are just using UVA, UVB, and a mix of both. So you can use to disinfect your other items. So this is the handheld device that we developed also, because there are a lot of handheld devices out there. But what we did was to just improve the design. We just pushed back the LEDs so that it will give us a focused UVC, because the design of other UVC handheld devices are based, they would scatter the light and you wouldn't know what was the area of effective microbial disinfection. So this is when you shine this one in the surface, you will see kasi a clear demarcation. All right, and then if you would lift it up, it will blur. So it's an indication. It's actually a design strategy to make people put it close in the surface, because you need 3 to 5 cm in order for it to be effective. No? And also another safety mechanism that we put here. So if you flash it, you turn it like that, you flip it, it will turn off immediately to protect the skin and the eyes of people. So this is the Cube Pro. It's the bigger one. It's for hospital and clinic use with UVC bulbs. So because of the success of the Cube disinfection box, we had a lot of feedback from health professionals, and they wanted something that bigger one to disinfect all their instruments in the hospital. So this is in the pipeline. I think it's going to be launched this month. And then after that, I'm gonna just share to you our innovation. So what we did, as you know earlier, kasi diba, we were doing clinics, but we had to close the clinic because one of the things that really, for our purpose in DMD Skin Science, is to build strong communities. And the question was, how can we move forward? How can we build strong communities? It's by keeping the patients safe. And how can we keep the patients and the staff safe 100% was to basically just go online. So all our plans for this year for the clinic were basically reframed or restructured. No? So we had to abandon the physical clinic and go full online. And I was really happy because even before the pandemic, I think in February, we decided to launch the Azalane soap. And now it's really it's really scaling. And I'm just so happy because in the initial parts of the pandemic, it's really the one that helped us survive as a company. So this is an innovative product because a lot of us are really used to washing our face 2 or 3 times a day. But we developed this product in such a way to target the sebaceous gland secretion of individuals. Because a lot of people don't know, but our sebaceous gland secretion or oil secretion in the face is pinakamataas siya at 12 noon or early afternoon. So essentially, we thought, why don't we create something using potassium azelaic diglycinate? It's a new chemical. No? Why don't we use this chemical and see and target the sebaceous secretion of people during when it's the most maximal. So it's basically designed as a a standalone skincare. You just need to wash your face once a day para sa mga individuals that don't have skincare and medyo tamad to put things on their face. So they can actually use this and they can start with this one, then introduce them to more advanced skincare. So this is one of the results that a patient sent me. So this is what Azalane does, even just washing with once a day. All right. So it basically breaks the current uh, worldwide habit of patients in terms of washing their face and gives them the idea that, as simple as that, as simple as washing your face once a day can actually create a lot of change. Especially now, sobrang popular yung mga Korean, yung mga 10 steps, 15 steps, which are not basically designed for our skin. And then because of that and the rising price of distributors, because the current model of dermatology kasi we get the medications from distributors who get it from manufacturers abroad or locally. But we created our own skincare now, like direct to consumers. So we basically cut down the price, which basically fits the financial realities of a lot of people right now in terms of the pandemic. And so there. So now we are doing online clinics at the same time creating our own products or manufacturing our own skincare or our own medicine for our patients, and also fulfilling that, delivering to them so that they don't have to go anywhere or go to the pharmacy pa and expose themselves. No, so there's because it's always been like a thought na there's like a lot of products in e-commerce, but they're not really expert. A lot of people are unsure, okay ba to, safe ba to? Bibilin ko sa Lazada or whatever platform, is it safe? There is a hunger for expert products. There is a hunger for expert e-commerce, and basically there is a hunger for expert and patient connection. So we want to be able to build that platform. DMD wants to be able to build that platform because I think that's going to be the future. Expert e-commerce. Well, expert e-commerce with a heart, I think. So there, that basically sums up what we do right now. So this is what we call the mothership. So the mothership, kasi that's what we call our clinic. We were inspired by the headquarters of Apple, so that's why we call our physical clinic the mothership. But we had to put it on park muna and go on online, and hopefully the future will be able to go back. So there. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Doc Mike.
Thank you also.
Yeah, opo. So right now, we're going to start our open forum already. But before that, I would just like to remind all our viewers to actually or our viewers on the Facebook Live to post their questions on the comment box of our or the chat box so that we can actually throw them to our moderator later when we open the floor. So I would like to invite on screen our Director for Innovation and Entrepreneurship Office, Mr. Roland Garcia, to moderate this discussion.
Hi guys, good morning.
Hi, Roland.
Doc, talagang pinag-uusapan namin sa chat gusto kong bilhin yung sabon
Talaga ba? Dala kita.
So,
Yun talaga yung naging focus, no?
like I think it's again, thanks Doc for being here. And we're very honored that you're here. Actually, I think you gained a lot of followers just by explaining these dermatological innovations. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
I'll ask a few questions. I personally have my own questions, and perhaps we'll get some questions from the audience. We have around 140, 150
Wow.
people who are watching now, and
Those will be the ones to change the world. No?
yes.
150 na yan.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sige, Doc. So it's rare, to be honest. It's very rare that I've encountered medical professionals such as you who are in the development sector, who's also an entrepreneur, but more than being an entrepreneur, also an innovator. No, magkakaiba kasi yun . Pwede ka kasing negosyante lang, diba? But you're not really innovating. You're reselling, diba? Which is okay, right?
Yep.
But there's a specific entrepreneurial flair when you are an innovator and an entrepreneur at the same time. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is my question.
Right.
What motivates you to be in the development sector, the entrepreneurship sector, and the innovation sphere while being a healthcare professional?
I think it's purpose, Rol. It's easy, alam mo yan, it's easy to be distracted by business. You know, sometimes kasi you want to scale your business, etc. But I think it's really purpose. Kasi when I immerse myself in business, strategize, and there's like a lot of things out there in business, no? Nawawala siya. Nawawala yung passion. I get tired and everything like that.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for you guys for inviting me because I'm continually questioning myself talaga. Like, siguro it's a spirit of the innovator, continually asking myself, am I doing it right? Is this the right direction, etc. No? Never settling.
Yeah.
Well, this talk actually drove me to rethink, like, how do we like move forward, and it brought me back to purpose. And if you see kasi lahat ng mga engagements na ginawa ko, it's really about community. Like in everything that I do, like I realized that I had this passion or passion to build communities talaga. And I don't know, kasi when I was put in Lakewood in that community, there were a lot of social vacuums. There were a lot of social vacuums that when I was put there, I don't know, there's something in my spirit maybe that forced me to respond, and that just forced out the innovation outside of me. And then after that, so I was really passionate at what I was doing in terms of that project. And then because I think people realize or see the authenticity that you just really want to help, you want to solve this. People want to be part of that as well. And then almost inevitably, you create a community around that. You create a community that will help you basically support you and scale that up. So yun, I think it's basically purpose. So, but the purpose now that I realize is building strong communities. So in all that I've the endeavors and all the innovations that we are getting into. Even how I communicate to my team. Doc, how do I respond to this patient? Ganito, ganito. Doc, how do I respond to this client? What do you think will make your relationship stronger with that patient? So it's about building strong communities. Our decision to go full online, to close the physical clinic, was a decision to how do we keep our community strong, to give them safety. In terms of creating the mask factory, we contribute to a stronger community if people are safe, if they feel safe, and how do we contribute to that? So this is one of our contribution or innovation. No? And what motivates me to become an entrepreneur is that, number one, I realized early that if I want my innovation to touch a lot of lives and to be used by so many people, then I need to match it with authentic business strategies. All right, that will get the innovation into the hands of consumers or into the hands of our community, and be able to change their lives. And second, I'm a firm believer of innovation. And I want to support our scientists, our engineers. I want to create an environment where they can freely create things, whatever they want. And I want to be able to support them. Because you can see right now, when the pandemic was unleashed in the Philippines, no, I was sad because most of our textiles were coming from China. And wala, like I couldn't really find a way to uh but there's this one textile milling in Cebu. They create their own medical textiles from Cebu sila. They just got I got in contact with them. But yun, it's sad because if we focus on our engineers, our scientists, no, we'll be able to create some things that will allow us to compete in the global market, because we can never win in technology that we are not masters of. We are masters of our own resources. Our fibers, our organic fibers. Imagine if we could translate that something with modern application, create something that can only be harnessed in the Philippines and create something for the world using that. So there, that's what really motivates me. And I'm just happy, when I'm doing it, you will feel it because you're happy. Like, you can't stop thinking about it. And your purpose will lead you as long as you stay with your purpose. It will lead you to the right direction. Always yan. If it leads you to become an entrepreneur after being an innovator, then you were following your purpose. So yeah, I think in any innovation, in any, well, in businesses, sometimes they forget what their true purpose is. So it's very important to cut yourself open and see what your purpose is, because that will dictate you, that will show you the right direction in all your decisions. It's your purpose. So so there, that's what motivates me.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. I think it's very inspiring, and I would like to highlight a few things that you said. Um, so yeah, you answered those three, those three roles that you're in, dev,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, in innovation. But this particular remark that you said about training engineers and scientists
Yes.
to freely innovate.
Mm-hmm.
So in the US, or at least in the perhaps the what do you call this, the era of the space race, no?
Mm-hmm.
In NASA, no? So when, di ba, nag-space race yan nung around World War II or after that, right?
Yeah.
Russia versus the US. No, before being an engineer, being a scientist, mathematician, or the STEM fields, no, was very cool. No?
Yeah.
In fact, you didn't have to have a special program, a STEM, no, just to be able to convince or create more scientists, technologists, entrepreneurs, and mathematicians. People
Correct.
will just naturally choose that because it's cool. No?
Correct.
Right now, in the Philippines especially, people don't even know what engineers do in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm an engineer, so I went to an engineering school. No? But before going into engineering school, I didn't know what engineers do. To be honest,
Ah.
no.
Right.
And it's a stark difference because in India, for example, or in Silicon Valley, there are a lot of engineers there, or creators, or innovators. No?
Mm-hmm.
So much so that it is directly correlated with their GDP and their economy. No? So I read this study that the more engineers, innovators, technologists, mathematicians that you have, your economy is tech based. And because your economy is tech based, the higher GDP that you have.
Mm-hmm.
May ganong study. No? And I was really
Right.
fascinated with that. And you're correct with the purpose. No? So a lot of people here watching us are in that stage, no, engineering, innovation, IT, no, computer
Yeah.
science. What is your um, advice to them,
Yeah.
no, after graduating or even during college? Because like marami dito mga ano eh, they want to be tech startup founders like you.
All right. Yeah.
So perhaps what are your top advice to them, no, once they graduate, all these things that in your experience.
All right. So now, find something that you really love. For example, ako. Honestly, I wasn't really in love with dermatology on my first year, but it's the dermoscope. It's that lighting device that actually made me fall in love with dermatology. So find something in your field and that you think that you're really passionate about and you love and stick with that no matter what. And then tell as many people as much as possible because I trick myself. That's my technique. No? If I have a project, I will tell everyone I'm gonna do this. So I have no choice because people will be bothering me. Like what happened here and things like that. So I psych myself. No? And you've seen in my experiences how social media can actually become a a tool for you to make things happen. Like the foundation that we built, the Yellow Boat of Hope, and also the mask factory that the two factories were actually able to build. It's because I just posted something, right? To tell as many people as possible and be just authentic and passionate about that because it will inevitably attract people that will support you, same values as you do. And then they will be your community that will build your innovation with you. They will be your ecosystem that will enable your innovation. Number three, um, connect with people. Like for example, what I do, like connect with people that are relevant to your innovation. So I go, for example, if there's an innovation that I'm thinking of, for example, light, I seek out the people who are the experts in light. So that's how I met Nathaniel Hermosa, who is a photonics scientist. And then this kind of relationship and conversations actually enrich you even more because you get to know their problems in their realm as well. So it enriches your view also as an innovator. You know? So yeah, those are the things that my topmost advice. Of course, know your purpose. That's very important. If you are serving, when I was a child, there was a gap kasi. Like like I told you when I was a child, I was creating stuff. So it was already in my blood, maybe like to create things. I think Filipinos are like that. We like to create things.
Mm.
And then, my mom and my dad being around that and seeing a lot of them, like a lot of things that they're creating. And then my sister and my brother also are tinkerers. then I will just go to their rooms and they have this thing na ginawa nila from a broken appliances. So doon. So as a child, I was like that. But during the high school and college time kasi, I was in a nadir because maybe I was distracted. I was thinking more of myself. I was very selfish, no? So, nung college, parang nagbabanda-banda ako, walang direction, di ba? So, walang ano. Ay, wala naman. Pero okay naman yung nagbabanda. Okay yun. Pero ako lang, feeling ko lang, parang ano, pa-cool ko lang yung gusto kong mangyari. So, parang walang, nadir yung innovative spirit ko nun. But when I was put in the community, then I got to meet people. You see the face of the problems. You experience the problem and the problem touches you. When I went there kasi kahit sobrang konti ng pagkain nila, they will invite me, Doc Mike, dito ka sa amin, dito ka kakain sa amin, 12 o'clock. Sa morning po, dito kayo kakain sa amin. Sa gabi po, so may schedule, pupunta ako sa bahay. And then the problem touches you and you see the face, no? You see the relationship in the problem and that problem nurtures you. Siguro, and then yun, I wanted to solve the problem for these people because they're so nice to me. They're so wonderful. No? And so then when I started thinking of others except me, you know, and when I started creating something for other people, I think that naturally called out the innovation again out from me. So for me, that works for me. If I solve a problem, if I do something for other people, that works for me because I personally find it very hard to convince myself if I feel like I'm inauthentic, it will not work. Like if it's very difficult. The most difficult person to convince is yourself. If you know in your heart that you are going against your purpose, that you are inauthentic, that you're just doing this for some other thing, that will definitely lead to inevitable failure. But if it comes from your heart, you want to change something greater than you. If you are thinking of something beyond yourself, greater than you, if you want to build people to outlast you and what you have built and continue what you have built and see how what you've created flourish in their hands and see how what they can create with what you've created. I think if you work towards that, then it will lead you to like a very fulfilling life for me. Huh?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
there.
I totally agree with that, Doc. I've met so much entrepreneurs that build businesses for themselves. No? And what I mean by this is, uh, it is it is their psychic income. No?
Yeah.
They build it because they want to be recognized. They build it because they want to be. Perhaps it feeds their ego, no, to some extent.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurs and innovators that build for other people, as you mentioned, is rare. You know? And most successful entrepreneurs that I've read, interacted with, are entrepreneurs that are selfless. No?
Yeah.
So it's easy kasi to be lured, di ba, Doc, with the fame, the money, di ba? For, siyempre, innovator ka, iba ka, you're not the employee and all these things. No? But I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people are also asking, no? How do you find your purpose? No? And how do you use that as a motivation? Kasi it's a common topic eh, di ba?
Yes.
Even if
Yes.
you're old already, na ano nga ba purpose ko sa earth, di ba? Why am I here? Why am I doing all these things? So in your case, Doc, how did you find your purpose? Was it interest? Was it because you were in those communities? So sige, perhaps you can give us
Yeah.
your
Actually,
insights.
that's a very difficult question. Actually, even big companies struggle with their purpose, which like basically pushes them to extinction at some point. Well, for me, kasi it's just retrospecting. I was just doing something that I really loved. I felt that I loved it, And then when I was doing it, I could see people's lives change. And then I was just continuing, to do that. And then it created a pile of stories. It created a pile of stories. Ang nangyari kasi, I was looking at the La Solare, the umbrella. So it created a pile of stories, a pile of even at that point, no, even like a couple of years after having built everything, I was questioning myself, are you really an innovator? Totoo ba talaga na innovator ka ba talaga? Ano ba, dapat ba yan? Or mag-focus ka na lang kasi sa dermatology, mag-ano ka na lang sa skin, no? Maging expert ka na lang sa skin. Kasi focus, di ba, branding. Mas maganda, may focus. So, top of mind ka of a certain specialty, of a certain skin interest.
Yeah.
So, gano'n, nagba-battle yung mga theories sa mind ko. And then, I was thinking about this logo of the La Solare. Sabi ko, how can I make this a heritage brand? Kasi, like, heritage brands are so fancy because itagal na nila, di ba? Successful. And then, I want to also include my family in it, no? Parang gusto ko i-include yung family ko. How do I, well, heritage brands is parang like family, di ba? But I don't really see as my mom and my dad or my brother and my sister as innovators. But that was looking at it on my vantage point. Kasi I see their undertaking as lesser compared to mine. Like in terms of how intellectual it was, my undertaking, I personally thought that parang we don't understand each other. When I talk innovation, I feel like they won't understand me. Parang ganun siya. Sabi ko, paano ko ito gagawing innovation brand? So I really dug deep. Like I thought of my family. I thought of my mom. I thought of my dad. Our origins, kumbaga, saan kami galing? So this is what worked for me. I don't know, this is what worked for me. So this is what I did. So I realized my mom and my dad came from an island. No? So they came from an island surrounded with water. Siguro as a child growing there, my dad and my mom, what's beyond that? What's beyond that sea, whatever, right? And then eventually, I don't know, because of their island influence, maybe that's why they got into fishing. But my dad is a carpenter, so built houses, self-trained, and then after that he built fishing boats. And after the fishing boats, he built his own fishing fleet. So like my dad, like ultimate innovator, like ikukumpara ko yung sarili ko para lang parang bigas lang ako sa kanya. And then my mom also, she had the separate because my dad was really like, akin to, ganyan. So, bahala ka dyan. So my mom, siguro because of that influence, she created her own fleet. And it was fishing, no? She started with a small tindahan. And then after that, poultry. And after poultry, she bought trucks. And then after the trucks, she bought she created her own fleet. So eventually, they ended up in fishing. So water pa din, no? And then after that, my first community has a lake.
Mm-hmm.
It's 800-hectare lake, right? What are the chances? First foundation that I was involved in was a bangka, involved in water. And then after that, I got into dermatology. And yun, doon nag-stop yung train of thought ko. How is dermatology related to water? And then when I was talking to Nathaniel Hermosa, he said, Doc Mike, out of the blue, I was actually praying, Lord, am I really an innovator, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tapos when we were doing experiments together in NIT, in National Institute of Physics, sabi niya, Doc Mike, I've come to realize that the skin is actually just a bunch of cells floating in water. So parang like water was really following me everywhere without unconsciously, it was really following me everywhere because I just followed my heart, no?
Yeah.
And what's my passion. And then after that, sabi ko, so tahi siya lahat. And if you really come to see it, innovators, their spirit is very fluid.
Yeah.
Like how water will fill, how water can create life in a dry desert or in a dry riverbed. How it flows and adapts into like whatever container you actually put it in. And it very much reflected my spirit, no, as water. And yun, parang in everything that I was actually doing, there's always a community built around it. Even now in the clinic, uh, the community is so different. They're very active. They're very supportive of whatever DMD is doing. And in fact, they interact with each other. I would post something that one patient would do for DMD, and then that other one would do something for for uh, for that patient. I'll give you an example. Kasi one patient actually created a skincare for their moms. Kasi tamad yung mga mothers, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sinulat niya yung skincare ng mom niya, nilagay niya doon, pinost niya sa sa wall.
Mhm.
So, and then nakita 'yon ng isang patient. And then this other patient, they have a business, acrylic business.
Yeah.
And then she showed me something like, Doc Mike, I built this para hindi mabasa yung lalagyan ng papel. Then I could build this for DMD. Sabi ko, that's a good idea. And then yun, I basically support that. No? Like, let's do that. Let's create a prototype. Can you send it to me? I want the whole community to be able to experience that also and give something for their parents. So there, like, I support things that people do for other people because I know how it feels, and it's nothing more fulfilling when you see somebody happy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yun, that's how I found my purpose. I look back and tinahi-tahi ko siya lahat. Like, parang origin stories, parang ganon. And
Yeah.
and ganon din, you form your purpose eh. And even in the face of crisis kasi, and like in the pandemic, in the face of uncertainty, the only thing that is unchanging is your purpose. And your purpose could change if you allow strategies, if you allow yourself to go to make decisions that is not your purpose. You tell yourself that, okay, I believe now this is my purpose, forming community. I am an innovator. What should I do in this phase of uncertainty and pandemic? What kind of message should I be sending out to the community that I'm building? So you form your purpose actually every day. But you kind of create a pile of stories that back you up, right? That back you up. Like, wow, that succeeded because I followed my purpose. And in this phase of pandemic and uncertainty, I will follow that same purpose. I will not be allowed to be distracted by other things. I will follow and make that pivotal decision because I think crisis and uncertainties are powerful creators of character, and they are creators of your purpose.
Mm.
So there. But for other people, I don't know. It could be another method. Innovators can look for other ways to find their purpose. But for me, I think purpose ang pinaka-importante.
Thanks for that, Doc. So we'll go to a question from the audience. Okay, so he has to, I'm not sure if he or she, but orum, sabi niya, who are the people you need when you innovate? And did you ever have failed innovations?
Failed innovations. Well, I had failed models of the solar reflector,
Mm-hmm.
but you never stop, all right? It's just failed in some aspects. If it's a true innovation, it will actually scale itself. But you have to focus. Like, 'di ba sa curve ng adoption, yung adoption curve, a lot of businesses will focus on where the market is. And that's already a failed decision for me, ha. You have to go to where you are needed, where the need is greatest. That's how Apple actually started. They went to where the need is really great, and then you create, kasi you create something genuine and solves a problem. people who experience those problems understand why you created that, and they will be naturally attracted to that innovation. And when you focus on those people, they will be your evangelizers until you push yourself into the chasm and until everybody adopts your innovation. So you need to understand what your innovation is. You need to understand who needs your innovation, and you need to understand the science or whatever engineering and design requirements that you need in order for you to create or fulfill your innovation, and connect with these people, talk with these people, share what you are trying to create with those people. So there, for example, the mask. I wanted to create a copper infused mask. So I connected with these medical students in the
Yeah.
South. They already created their own masks. So they already had this bulk of research of cloth masks and creating their own masks. So we collaborated with them to create the copper masks. So yeah, just taking interest, because people like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and then message them. You message them. There's like a lot of platforms right now. Like if I create something, I bug people in LinkedIn, I bug people in Facebook, I use the hashtag in Instagram, what they're doing, biofabrication, mga ganon. Gusto kong gumawa ng biodegradable na packaging. So yun, like search for people, look for them, and then know their story, and then paano siya matatahi sa ginagawa mo.
I think for some people, like ako, I think so. This question is very, very important. No? The people you associate yourself with and your co-founders or your partners in business are very important. I've had my fair share of failed relationships in business. But then for people kasi who are perhaps introverts, and hindi sila yung ma-message, di ba, like
correct, no?
Or they don't have the confidence to message someone perhaps they perceive higher than them or more experienced. What is your advice to these people na medyo nahihiya?
Introvert?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sa extrovert na ako lang.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Well, you need to tell someone. Mahirap kasi mag-isa. If you really love your innovation, you need to get it out there so that people will know. At least tell one person that has an interest. Start with that person and tell that person, maybe, like, can you help me with this one? Can you help me connect with other people? So yun lang. Be a bystander sa social media nila or what.
Yeah.
Then siguro ganon. I'm sorry, I haven't really thought of that, no?
Actually, yung sinabi mo, Doc, no, yung that for me, that's the magic statement eh. Can you help me? Diba?
Exactly. Oh.
Kasi I think that's the word help is a universal call to action eh. Like it really whether you are already up there or whether you're not, diba? When someone asks for your help, it's a universal human perhaps behavior to be more receptive to a particular ask, right? And I think for a lot of people, nahiya magtanong, but tama si Doc Mike eh. You just perhaps need to ask, right?
Oo. Yeah.
Kasi
huwag matakot magtanong.
Oo eh, diba? Like for example, diba, Doc Mike, after you talked in AIM, I messaged you, diba, about potentially working together, no. Actually, mag-uusap pala tayo after this, no.
All right.
But yeah, so I normally don't want to ask for help personally, and I normally don't you message nga mga ganyan. But then you're correct, Doc Mike, no. When you're an innovator and you want to build your community in your personal ecosystem, you really need to reach out to people, and they'll be willing to respond, right?
Yes, correct.
So yeah, so ito, Doc, may tanong tayo ngayon, no? So Ito si Dr. Romano Neira. So he's I think our dean, no, for ECE and electrical
Hello po,
engineering.
sir.
Ayan. So sabi niya, we
Hello
have
po,
a lot of
Doctor.
thesis projects in ECE dealing with dermatology and digital
Exciting.
signal image processing. Okay, so this is the question. Do you think there is a big potential in this area? For example, determining skin disease using image processing. Ayan, Doc Mike. So,
Yes,
go.
definitely. Definitely untapped po siya, sir. Like, ang dami po kasing pasyente right now na, yun, hindi sila makapunta sa clinics. But if we had something like a point of care use na device that could actually assist in the diagnosing of our skin diseases, that will be really helpful. Kasi there are hospitals around the Philippines, wala pang dermatologists.
Mhm.
And sometimes, when the dermatology is in the medical team, sometimes kasi baffling yung case ng isang pasyente. But what's nice about dermatology kasi, may certain patterns yung mga skin diseases. And if there's a clue, then when a dermatologist comes in, it's probably lupus, ganun. Then all the medical teams will direct their their management towards lupus. So there are occasions like that, that the skin patterns or the skin lesions actually give away the true disease of the patient, and that can save the lives of patients. And also, right now, skin cancer is increasing in the all over the world actually. But I don't know how will the lockdown translate to that. But I think because there's a lot of UVC right now, we will see in the near future magkakaroon ng cancers, more of problems sa eyes and sa skin also because of UVC. So yeah, definitely Miss Julie Salido, she did so many research. Right now she's one of the uprising star in ACM yata. ACM ba yun? Sabi niya
Ano yung ACM?
So I think is it ACM? I'm not really sure, but it's like a group of like alam yata in the mga scientists like publications. She's really most cited right now. She's getting a lot of citations because of the research that she did in the dermoscopy. I'd be very interested, Miss Sir Neira, to work with you on that. And I don't know if we can help in terms of translating that into a product. Definitely, it's a yes. We can work together. I'm very interested in that one.
Sige, Doc. Actually, this is one of the things we want to do in the FEU Innovation Center.
Yeah.
To be able to collaborate with industry experts like yourself, to be able to commercialize research, no, the mga bata, no, thesis, and even our own professors have their own
Researches.
research, diba? And we want to commercialize that to be able to help a lot of people. So with us now is Mylene, actually the head of research for the FEU Innovation Center, and perhaps we can create a program for this specific of Doc Neira. No? So Doc, we'll set
Thanks,
a
Doc.
okay.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay. Sige. So another question for you, Doc. No? So medyo engaged yung audience with you. No? Very interesting. How did yung name niyan medyo Korean.
Korean.
Oh, how
May
did you
viewer
plan?
tayo sa Korea.
How did you plan in innovating your own products? Is it not hard for you in planning in innovating the products? Wherein you wait lang. Anong interpretation mo sa question na to, Doc?
Feeling ko hindi ba madali ginawa Tagalog?
Sige, go.
feeling mo how did you plan all those products while working in a clinic or in a hospital? Parang ganun yata, no?
Yeah,
Parang
okay,
ganun ba?
sige. We'll try to answer that.
So yun, well, it's definitely hard kasi by itself, like working in a clinic and a hospital, it's already hard by itself, no? But you really have to put the hours there. If you really love the technology kasi, if you're really passionate about it, you will really like push yourself talaga, I'm gonna do this. So So yun, basically collaboration is the key. Like for example, I don't know anything about textile and nanotechnology. So
Mhm.
I definitely need the help of materials engineer because they're the experts in that.
Yeah.
So I talk to them. So, and then other people who have textile expertise also. Parang ganun siya. And then I collaborate with interns. Kasi there's a lot of interns like right now. Like for example, materials engineer intern. So I will tell them the project. This is the project. I will do my own research, but can you help me with this one? And we can compare notes and how we can do it. How can we translate it in terms of manufacturing? I give our brief to our manufacturing arm, which is Jose, and then Jessica is the one that designs it. So ganun siya. Well, definitely it's a challenge, but you definitely have to put in the hours there. Kasi when you're working in a hospital or in a clinic, it's the innovation, the plans are still in the back of your mind. So in between patients, nag-iisip ka, okay, ganito. So where was I? So you keep on thinking about it. So and then you get trained about other innovations also. So yung unang innovation talaga medyo difficult siya, but you get a pattern. So I actually have like a pattern already how to approach. If I want to create something, I approach something. Like for example, how to extract comedones or yung mga like pimple, like ganyan. So that's one of our projects. How can we respect the physics of the hair follicles and how we can translate that into an instrument, no? Kasi marami kasi sa mga like sa Watsons and anything, like yung mga wire na naganon sa face, it ends up like exacerbating the pimple and scar the patient. So we created the ulcrum in such a way it's designed to efficiently extract the pimples, like with minimal pressure and with minimal traction.
Yeah.
So yun. So who do you need for that? You need materials engineer for that. So yun, you collaborate. You collaborate. You tell the engineer, well, alam mo kasi ito yung kailangan ko. Doc Mike, baka kailangan mo ng electrical. Doc Mike, baka kailangan mo ng mechanical engineer. If you talk about it, then when you build on top of the community that you formed on the previous innovation, somebody will tell you, Doc, you might want to connect with this one and this one. So really, the innovation and the community you actually create is a very nice foundation to build on for your other innovations. So you need to start now. Start your journey.
Ayan, start now, no? Actually, Doc, ang dami
Start
mong ginagawa, no? So parang ako, I'm personally curious, no? So, you're dealing with a lot of people, you're launching, like, and creating different products, and you even have your clinic, and you have your dev work, no? How do you balance your time? Hindi ka ba naguguluhan? Like, how do you do that?
Nagugula lang ako minsan. Pati yung team ko, nagugula minsan. So, siguro na-train na ako ng, I have it already. So if my schedule, if I can't think straight, there's something wrong in the schedule or in the design of how I'm doing things. So I usually talk to my team. Like I tell them, I vocalize like I can't see any patients anymore. What can we do? So if we need somebody in the team to help, like for example, right now kasi we're creating a lot of skincare right now, and I cannot focus on I create the logos kasi, the branding, how it looks like, the purpose of the brand and etc. And it's piling up kasi right now, the online clinic is getting a lot of bookings also. So I need time in the computer, like interacting with the patients also. So yun, I see if we need somebody to fill in for what I do. For example, branding, product development. I co-create it with my CEO, with our COO, and also a third-party designer. So when it's heavy na on my side, when it's painful already, it's really, really painful, that's the time. So if it's painful for you, pag hindi mo na kaya, then that's the time you expand. You hire somebody else to do that for you. So, but be careful because if you hire somebody, it's your family. They're your family. Mahirap naman yung purpose, di ba? Yung purpose namin is community. So, bawal, for me, bawal mag let go. Unless, it's really destructive, the relationship. But since our mantra is building strong communities, letting go is really the in the bottom of the options. Yun, if it's painful for you already, you can get someone else. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who lost their jobs. Then
Yeah.
they need help also. So yun, if it gets painful for me, I ask for help. And then that person becomes a member of the team.
Okay. I think that's a very good answer. No? Yeah. Okay, Doc. So I think we have a lot of interesting topics that we talked about. And actually, what I wanted to ask you, perhaps one to two more questions, and then we can wrap up.
All right.
So in terms of, yung sabi mo kanina, Doc, no? So yung, the way you plan your innovation, kasi the previous question from our Korean friend, no? How did you plan innovating your product?
Anyong?
So ang question ko doon ganito, Doc, no? So where do you usually start in terms of innovation? Do you have a formal process of innovating in DellaGroup? Or is this something na gut feel, then you test it out? How do you do it?
Yeah, definitely gut feel siya. You get, your innovations kasi train you. It gives you an eye. Number one, depending on your expertise kasi, you have an eye. Yung tinatawag ko na eye. So, some problems are more visible to you than other problems because you were trained that way. So now, because of my specialty, I see more of skin problems and health. So definitely those are the things that are more visible to me. So that's number one. So in terms of innovation, what I do is, of course, I deep dive in the science. But I already have this hazy concept of a product. Kasi I always consider myself as a product innovator. Like my innovations always. Also, at one side, process innovator, ako, like social innovator. I like observing the behavior of people. But yun, more of product innovation. So there's a hazy image of the product on my head. Then I deep dive on studies, researches. So I read a lot of researches, what has been published out there about it. And then build on the science. And after that, if I can't answer something, it's very technical already, I look at the profession of the authors. Right? I look at the profession of the authors, and usually that will lead you to the kind of science that you need to understand. So yun, sometimes you have to read also talaga eh. Like for example, to understand it, photonics, what is photonics and stuff like that. So you have to really read that as well, because sometimes there are people kasi that are deep in their specialization that they need someone to connect it to create something that's innovating. So that's the process. You have a hazy image. My process is you have a hazy image of the product, deep dive on the science, and then if you encounter a block, reach out to people and seek out the people that will help you move forward with the product. Then after that, it's easy. If you have a model already, give that to your manufacturing arm. They create a 3D model, create a prototype, test it out. If it's crappy, you go back to your team of researchers, then until you get a very nice product.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Doc. And Actually, like I know you know I'm in graduate school now, diba? So we're studying the formal process of innovation and how to do that and all this marketing. But I consider kasi myself a gut feel kind of person also, no? So it
Yeah,
starts with a gut feel, tapos saka ka na lang mag-deep dive into your market, diba?
yeah,
And what if there's a big problem and all these things.
yeah.
Which is I'm having a kasi I'll say it on air, no. I'm having a bit of a dilemma kasi the innovation process in the academe is very different in the entrepreneurial landscape, which is gut, which
Gut
is
feel.
yun nga, you certainly develop an eye, eh. Diba? Eh, parang okay to, parang pero hindi mo alam kung bakit. I
Yeah,
mean, you can't explain it academically why, 'di ba? But then
correct.
and ako when we do our pitches in grad school, 'di ba? Parang ako hindi ko parang ganito ba talaga ang proseso? Parang I don't think Steve Jobs had this particular, innovation framework, 'di ba? He just kind of wanted to create, for example, 1,000 songs in your pocket, hence iPod was created. Diba? He
Right.
wanted to create, and he was the type of person nga even, he had a different philosophy in innovation. Diba? You create the product, the market will come. Parang ganun siya, eh.
Yes.
Diba? And hindi naman, parang for me, at that point when the Walkmans and the CD, ano ba to? Diba yung umiikot, tapos may, I forgot what
Uh,
that's called, but,
see.
ayun, diba? So parang hindi naman, parang I'm sure when he thought of the iPod, he thought of the
Yeah.
product first. And
It's
then
51st, huh? It's 51st in the innovation line. They weren't even the first.
so yun, 'di ba? And I didn't think they had the formal innovation process of all these, I don't know, academic frameworks.
Yeah.
Um so yun. So I parang so I'm at the dilemma whether I should follow my gut
Yeah.
or just data, 'di ba?
Well,
Kasi yeah, so go. What do you think, Doc?
I think they're complementary. It depends on the data. Kasi when you develop that gut feel, you know now. Like, for example, I have my purpose, right? I
Yeah.
know my purpose. There are a lot of, like, for example, if I'm creating a brand, there are a lot of branding agencies out there that don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And then they will tell you this and that and this and that. Of course, you feel compelled to like follow them because they're like the experts, diba?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel right. And it feels like they don't understand you sometimes.
Yeah.
So definitely gut feel is, for me kasi gut feel din ako talaga na tao. And there's like a lot of information or data out there that can confuse you. And I've learned that. I've learned that, like, for example, somebody talks about innovation, and
Yeah.
there's like a lot of innovation lectures out there.
Yeah.
And then some really don't fit, like as if this is not my kind of innovation. And I don't listen to that anymore because I feel like this person doesn't know what he's talking about. Especially in branding also. Some branding individuals will tell you, brand is the collection of the visuals, communications, culture, etc.,
Yeah.
that will eventually lead you to sales. Definitely, if he starts saying something like that, I will turn it off because I know the motivation of this person. Because I'm a person who is driven by purpose, not by what the values of this person that I'm listening to and whatever data that he collected based on his purpose or his view in life. So, babalik pa din siya sa purpose. Pareho din yan eh. Pareho din yan sa sa medicine. Ang nangyayari kasi sa dermatology, ganito. Like when I was training, of course you need to discuss to your patient, this is actually what happened. But ang nangyayari kasi sometimes what I do, I adjust it in such a way na formal siya and it looks like a perfect flow.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a perfect flow from seeing the patient, what happened to the patient, anong mga medications binigay mo, how did the lesion resolve, etc., how was
Yeah.
the follow-up. It's like in a format like ina-arrange ko siya. Pero deep in my heart, sabi ko, this is not what happened chronologically, authentically in the clinic.
Yeah.
This is not what happened. I should present it in a way that this is what happened. This is what happened. And then if they see a problem in that, then how do we solve that problem? Because if you arrange it into a pattern that looks as if, you did a very good job based on the template or how we should approach it
Yeah.
as a dermatologist,
Yeah.
then you did a good job like that. But I was personally disturbed na parang, hindi ganito yung process eh. But we came up with a very outstanding diagnosis. Like, wow, it's a very rare skin disease. How were you able to know, to find that out? And I would look at books, but how were you able to arrive to that particular ano? For me kasi, it's the thought process that's what's very important. The thought
Yeah.
process and the pattern is very, very important because the world and human societies are continually changing.
Yeah.
And you can never put it, you cannot fix it with a pattern.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
sometimes,
Yeah. I agree.
nalulunod ako minsan sa mga mga business. Like, oh my God, ano to? Pag hindi ko na maintindihan, there's a design challenge there. So there's definitely a design challenge there. I look for data that I can understand. And if I like that, I like that data. And if I have a block in that data, I ask someone, can you explain this to me? And then I work that way.
Yeah. Tama. Alam mo, Doc, ganito yan eh. In the sorry, we're in the academic setting, but I'll just
Okay
say
lang.
this because this is what I wanted the innovation center to be. No? Entrepreneurship and innovation is sometimes irrational.
Yes.
It is sometimes, actually not sometimes, that most of the time, non-academic. Right?
Correct.
Which academicians frown upon. No? So for example, the most successful entrepreneurs are not the people who are trained in Harvard Business School, nor do they have advanced degrees. However,
Yes,
here's the
correct.
thing. They hire people with advanced degrees. That's the difference.
Correct.
Does that make sense? So, I mean, you know, I mean, I am not gonna sugarcoat no, even if I'm in an academic institution, but that's really what happens. And at the same time, ito pa, the A students usually work for the C students, and it's a fact. It's
Correct.
taboo in the academic institution, but it's a fact. No, I'm not going to hide it, right? So here's the
Correct.
thing: if you're an entrepreneur like Doc Mike, innovator, right? You don't need to know everything, right? You don't need to perhaps, perfect the process of what academicians before studied, quote unquote, but never applied, right? So
Exactly.
but you can ask for them for their help because they're the experts.
Correct.
So
Definitely.
so tama-tama yung sabi Doc Mike, no? Network your ecosystem, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And most of all, don't be afraid to admit that you don't know everything.
Correct. Like it's the kaya 'di ba like yung ano namin sa DMD, start
Yeah.
your journey. It's always that,
Yes.
start your journey, because if you think of you're paralyzed because of this data and
Yeah.
the conundrum of all the things that you don't know about the discipline,
Yeah.
you will never start. And that's
Tama.
innovation. It's about starting, 'di ba?
And iterating
So
once you start.
correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yun, it's the paralysis you get from catch 22.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's a nice term lang, catch 22. When you're paralyzed, like
Because
you
of
think about the
overthinking.
market or overthinking. You think about how will you strategize the price, etc. It's just wala na may nakaisip na iba. Ka-build na siya ng prototype.
Sobrang tama yan. Alam mo, sorry
Diba?
offline na lang tayo mag-usap, Doc. pero ang dami kong ano talaga sa, parang okay, alam mo lahat ng analysis, alam mo at ng framework, o nasa na yung produkto mo, no? Na wala pa rin, no? Hanggang ngayon.
Correct.
So, kaya yun, di ba, tinatawag na concept of the minimum viable product, di ba? So,
Yeah.
you get your product out there and interact with the customers right away because it is not yourself who you're serving, di ba? It's your customers and you will learn from them.
Correct. Correct. And people will buy, like, I really like Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
Kasi the fear is like, yun nga, sinabi niya, people will buy why. I think sabi niya, ganun. I'm not really sure if it's exact. They do not, how did he say it? They buy because of your why. I think it's summarized like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they like Apple. It was the prevailing design of the MP3 because they related to the brand and what it represents.
Yeah.
So I like DMD actually to be that way. Yun nga, I told you, diba, like the skin is actually considered as an extension of the being of individuals.
Yeah.
It's and then our cosmic destiny is actually to fulfill our passions. So in a cellular level, we are passion. We are passion. So there. If they see your product or innovation that way, then it's bound for success. Yun. I think summary talaga ng talk na to is about purpose.
Yeah. I think magkakaroon pa tayo ng second installment. No? Dahil pa mag-uusapan.
Ganun ba? Oh my God.
Oh, but thank you very much, Doc Mike.
Thank you.
I learned a lot from you, and we're honored that you're here with us. Syempre, I know you're very busy, but then you still accepted our invitation.
Of course. Basta si Bossing Roland and Janina.
Sige, Doc. So I'll turn you over to Janina to close our webinar. And thank you very much again, Doc Mike.
Thank you.
Ayan. Sige, Janina.
Thank you very much, Doc Mike. So that was really an insightful discussion. We've learned a lot, and a lot of people are actually engaged on our Facebook comment section. So tama si Roland, it actually merits another set of discussion. Marami pa kaming tanong for you. Pero maraming salamat. I know this 2 hours is very short, no? But we hope that this sparks this serves as a good platform and to start more conversation and collaboration. We are very happy to note nga kanina that you actually offered your help to one of the deans of the FEU Tech. So ayun, maraming salamat po for joining us this morning.
Thank you also.
And also we would like to thank for the support of other offices to make this live possible. But of course, we would like to thank Attorney Jana Montinolas, our Senior Vice President for Corporate Affairs of FEU and co-founder of Hands on Manila, Dr. Benson Tan, our Senior Executive Director for FEU Institute of Technology, our program partner, IAM Dado Banatao Incubator, and of course, FEU Tech Computing Services Office. So we would like to thank everyone who attended today's session of TechX. So this is regularly done every first Wednesday of the month. So ayun, maraming salamat, and may we invite everyone to officially like our Facebook page. It's at FEU Innovation Center, and may I also remind everyone to please complete our post-event survey to be able to claim your digital certificate. So see you in our next event, Unmasked, happening on the third Wednesday of the month, where we are going to feature another inspiring tech entrepreneurs. So again, thank you very much and have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you everyone. Bye. God bless.
Doc Mike, message